Hi, GenderBlenders. Welcome to week 63. And this week's question is understanding that the gay rights movement owes its success to the gender variant community. Should transgender issues be included within the broader gay rights movement? Or should they be handled by way of a standalone, related but separate platform? It's a very interesting question. It's got a lot of bones in it. I'm going to start out with an example. Last July, I went to San Diego Pride parade and convention kind of a thing. My first ever. It's the first time I was ever at one of those. And San Diego does have a relatively wide variation in their community. And what struck me was the niceness, pride of that community. And the diversity added a lot of meat to that parade. So we had a representation there of pretty much the whole community. There was gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transsexuals, both male to female, female to male, gender queers, all kinds of variants in that community. And I think that diversity there added a lot to that parade. Having a lot there. It made a lot more coherent, well-rounded, and vibrant program than just having the LGB community there all by itself. So I guess that's a long way around to saying that there really is strength in numbers, and that's kind of the driving force behind including some of the transgender issues in the gay rights movement. Can we tag along, or can they tag along with us? And the downside of that, of course, is if you have too many minorities making up your constituency, maybe it's not a minority anymore. And then where are you? You've lost everything. It's become too diluted. So on one hand, there's a hand. On one hand, you've got people being able to add or provide emphasis or allow the mainstream community to take us seriously because there's more than one or two of us there. That's the strength in numbers side. On the other hand, there's another hand. Things can become too diluted by mixing all things together for things that should be separate. So let's examine some of the issues. Some of the issues that are faced by our communities are similar, but not identical. Let's take an example. Same-sex marriage. That's been going around and around and around out here in California, at least for a while. And in many cases, it's been going around throughout the country. Gays and lesbians and some transgenders, that has a certain meaning to it because your partner is the same sex and gender. For some transgenders that ultimately will fit under the mainstream current heterosexual definitions, what allowing same-sex marriage does is allows that marriage to occur before the operation. So, similar issues, different motivation, different requirements to some extent. But nevertheless, that's one issue that I think that both the gays and the transgenders and genderqueers and everybody else can kind of join together on, maybe. Another issue, public restrooms. Similar, but certainly not identical between variations and varieties or colors of sex and varieties or variations or colors of gender. Have different meanings, different connotations in a public restroom, but is the issue similar? Oh yes, of course it is. So that's, I'm trying to balance some of the issues. Those are some of the issues that could be lumped together. Standalone issues. There's going to be issues that are unique to that group best. I'm transgender. I'm male to female transgender. And I'm sure if I thought really hard, although in preparing for this video couldn't come up with one exactly, if I thought really hard, I would come up with several issues that were unique to us as a group that don't fit even within the more general transgender community. Does that mean that we should be separate? I don't know. For some things, for those issues that are unique to our needs, I think it probably does mean exactly that. However, for those issues that can be addressed in terms of common things, maybe, just maybe, it's better to keep them common. So what's this really telling us? It says maybe there's a whole bunch of different answers to this question, and maybe there is no one answer to this question. If I had to lump things together, the things that are best served in numbers are those where we couldn't get any interest up. So, what do you mean you're doing X? I don't know what X means. But what do you mean you're doing X? Why couldn't you do the same thing as this person over here who is, after all, similar to you because you're gay and she's transgender? I mean, that's the same thing, isn't it? That's what the mainstream, of course, thinks. Because they don't distinguish between the two. There's not enough things different from their perspective. So maybe those things where we couldn't get enough interest up on a one-on-one basis, maybe those are the things that are best lumped together. And those should be included within the same movement, because after all, it's similar enough. But then there's going to be that whole class of things that we, in our own little world, need to handle all on our own. So that's my take for this week. Again, I don't think there's a simple answer to this question. I think some things are best served together. I think some things are best served uniquely. And that really uniqueness needs to be handled on a case-by-case basis. So I hope that was of a little interest to you. Until next week, this is Steffi saying bye-bye.